Designs. Oh, hi Vicky, yes, welcome to Bunny Designs. I've just spent all day trying to sort out YouTube for live stream and it's not working, so I've given up. I've given up. I've given up. I shall have another go tomorrow, but today I've just. But I did want to have a play with this book, so I hope the volume's okay. Everything looks okay, and I hope it's not too blurred. No, if it's a little bit too blurred, let me have a look. I'm using my vintage pastel pencils. It's the very pale colours, and I'm in the Colin Thompson colour book because I really want to get this finished. It's I've got quite a lot of pages kind of on the go, so I just thought I'd record as I kind of waded the way through this particular book. Now I know I do need some chocolate out because and again they're all lovely colours. I am zoomed in, but I like it's very dark now in the UK, so the light's gone and it does something strange to our lighting. So I just wanted to find the darkish chocolatey colours for the wood. I like the chocolate colours for the wood. And I like using my little blending tool because it means I've got kind of one tool, and if there's a very diddy area I use this little zero angle chisel, firm, although it's a bit squishy. I think the firm ones are best for colour books because we really need to ground in that kind of colouring in order to get it to stay where we want it. So there's a bit of shadow down there. I didn't get a baby wipe out, so let's use the crunchy. We'll get a baby wipe because these pastels are very, very soft. These are the original Derwent pencils, pastel pencils, but um, they're the vintage ones, and so that means that they're the older style, which are a little bit softer. Hence, there's a little bit more dust, but I'm not blowing with this. I'm pushing all the dust where I want it. So I've learnt to be a bit more frugal with these. So I'm going to leave the chocolate colours out, but all the others I'm actually going to put away. Let me have a look, see what kind of a fleshy, kind of flesh pinky colour we've got. There's a burnt umber and a burnt carmine. I've just put my little piece of paper somewhere. How strange. Which is a little bit of a kind of a the dark violet F. Oh, that is purpley. What's that one? Again, that's a burnt carmine deep. That's a gorgeous colour, that one, but not for here. Bear with me. I've just gone off the pinks. So we've got a Crimson Lake faint, so that's kind of a warmy pinky, kind of a bit of a fleshy colour. And then I'm going to put a terracotta colour, which is a sandy, kind of probably better skin colour. Using a combination of both those. Looks quite good. Yes, these are colour shapers. my light is terrible today. Just see if I can lighten things up a little bit. It does seem to have got rather dark. I don't think that's actually lightened up the room. But it says it's a fine, a taper point, number 6, firm colour shaper. I think hopefully that light's a little bit better. So I'm going to kind of smush about in there a bit and try and avoid the thumb if I can. And then this little tiny one is a colour shaper, firm, a 0, and it's called an angle chisel, and it has a bit of a point to it, so you can kind of get right down in there, kind of thing. So as I say, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I wanted to have a bit of a play. I think we probably want a bit of a paler colour nail, just a little bit, not actually coloured nail varnish, but just a little bit of a different colour, just to make that look a little bit different. It just seemed to be slightly out of focus. Oh, did you? Well, I was a little bit upset because they came out about £27, so I thought that was a little bit expensive. But I didn't look on Amazon, so I might have to have a bit of a look on Amazon. I think that might be slightly better. Oh, that's slightly better. They are kind of muted colours, but it's not bringing up these nice pinks at all. Maybe a little, oops. Hope that's a bit better. Oh, that was quite good. That was quite good. I've seen some cheaper ones. The one thing I wouldn't say is if you're using pastel pencils in other things, but on paper, you do actually want the firmer one because we really need to grind that in because, as I say, this shouldn't work in theory. This really shouldn't work. This should be, this certainly shouldn't work really because we don't seem to have the tooth for using pastels. But I do have some pastel pencils, so I think I'm going to be bringing out my pastels and using them as long as they don't upset the asthma too much, and because I think they're going to be quite good to use. So we've got lots of books, so I'm going to just plough through these nice pastel colours, and I do like the paler colours. Oh, that's a little bit too pink, that really. So what I'm tending to do is clean the baby wipes and use the little blending tool. And then I've got that little bit of kind of shaded colour, so I can kind of bring a hint of that in there. That's what I'm trying to. So it means I don't have to bother about going back. I've already done it. If that makes any sense. So I like the pencils, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the pencils. Yes, I'm just going to. I've cleaned my desk actually, so I've got more space. So we want a bit of a pencily woody colour. I think we'll have some pale pencils because I think I'm going to have a bit of a dark background, so we might as well have some paler pencils in colour. And I love this book, but I want to work a bit faster, so I was trying to make some videos so I could just work a bit faster. Excuse me. So I've kept that chocolate colour. That's a briefcase. I think it would be a little bit brown though. Again, I am just testing these colours. And if you don't blow, you can actually manipulate that colour. So I think my blow days are over. And then just a hint of the same colour there. And then we've got that chocolate to come round there. So there seems to be quite a natural highlight down there. Excuse me. And then we could do with a little bit of dark under here. There's kind of a bit of a porthole kind of thing going on. So we could use that little tiny blender. See if I can just get rid of that. Put a bit of darkness. Just the difference between those being underneath there and those being on top. There is a slight difference. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the porthole. So let's have a look. Oh, it says medicine there. I don't know what colour to do that. So there's a person's face there. So we had that kind of a bit of a sandy colour, salmony colour. So I've stopped blowing because I'm going to use all the dust in there because all that dust is colour, so we don't need to do that. The porthole, I think I prefer it brass, but I don't think I'm going to get a yellow. Oh, unless I use that. I could use deep cadmium. We'll see if we can get a bit of brassy effect because a lot of portholes are brass. And then give that a bit of a rub in. I'm going to do this. I think we'll have a bit of blue sky here. These are kind of, and we do have. I have my older set. Sorry, my newer set here has a flesh pink. So I had thought about putting them all together and incorporating my new set with my older set, but then I decided against it. But I think I might actually go back. So what I normally do with these little men, or I should say these little creatures, I use flesh pink, and that just humans them up a bit and gets rid of that stark white. But I am going to make sure that this little blending tool is very clean, so I can push the colour in there. And that, if you want to leave the background white, you can do then, because you've got that stark white out of the way. And then we could do with a very pale, the zinc F. Oops. Sometimes they have a little bit of a coating on them, but I'm trying to get rid of that. And then we might have a little bit of a always remember to clean your blending tool, because it holds quite a lot of colour and it does come up lovely and clean. Just smush that in a bit. I think we'll have a bit of sky. So we could have a very pale, kind of bit of white, bluish sky. It's kind of a hint of something else going on. We can use a sponge, a baby wipe. Have a go. A little bit of this blue, white tack, blue tack, whatever you call it. See if I can get a little kind of a tool going. So that's working quite well. So some white tack would be good. So I'm quite impressed with that. I've never used that before. That was courtesy of the lady I was watching last week. So again, there's not much in there. It's just a hint of a bit of a skyline. And we can go in there with the chocolate, and then that becomes the dark shelves and the wood area again. You've got a crease there, so if you're working in the crease, it's always a little bit awkward. If you've got this little squidgy tool, you can get in there. I shall have to have a look at that, Suzanne. That sounds quite a good bargain, that. Again, you can go over a little bit, but there's not much point, because you don't tend to get a second chance with these. I don't know if you're going to do that wood the same. I think I might do it slightly different, but we have, I'll keep the flesh colour out, the chocolate colour, Um, I have a pale chocolate colour. It's called Chocolate D. Um, I think I prefer that to the other one actually, so I'll just put the yellow zincs away. So this will mean we've got a connection with that chocolate, but it won't be quite as dark. So I'm going to work round here, and then I can, oops, picked up the wrong one. Yep. That was the darker one. To be a little bit careful. So while it's going across there, it's going to be a little bit of a paler one. Then when it comes down to being a shelf, it can also get back to its normal dark. Just going down to that section there. And then I want a little bit of something on this. The thing is, they all actually look quite fawny brown, and possibly are actually. I think I might actually just have a bit of that colour on there. On the upper bit. Excuse me, just have a quick slurp. There's another little book there, but I think that can be a pale green book. I think that's actually a bit too pinky, I think. Sorry, greeny. I think we want a paler one. Yeah. Because it's a deeper tone, but it's a paler colour. And that's just kind of darken that, so I don't need to do anything to that eye. I can just leave it as it is if I want to. Oh, hi Kangaroo Babe, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm in the Colin Thompson colour book Fantastic, and I'm playing with the pastels because I started this one before I had any other pastels. So this was with the original portrait sets. Of course, they were very pale, and I quite like that. So I'm just going to go around with these olive colours and just kind of move them around a little bit. So I just have to do that a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, might just olive this up a little bit, I think, as well. That'd be quite nice. Give a little bit of colour to that. So I'm trying to keep with the pastel pale colours if I can. And then sometimes you just want a hint of colour, and sometimes you've just got a little bit on the end of your blending tool that's going to just kind of give you that little bit of oomph. So if we put the olive there, there's going to be a little bit of olive to go under there. And then we've got another kind of fawn coloured wooden box. I think we're going to have to deepen that up a little bit with the paler chocolate one. But if you notice, I'm not blowing the dust. I'm using the dust and manoeuvring it around, so I'm not wasting it because I don't want to waste anything. And then I'm just going to give like a very faint rub over there, so that's just going to take that start white off those. So they should look slightly better. Everything looks the same type. Oh, thanks Vicky, yes, thanks for stopping in. As I say, anybody else welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm just having a play in the Colin Thompson book, and just that little bit looks very, very, very similar. But it won't do soon. Now, so we have a terracotta colour. We can use, let's see if it's too dark. That might be a little bit too dark, but that might. We got the terracotta D. Yes, it's a bit lighter. So I'm trying not to use too strong coloured. Too strong colours, because we want to keep this quite pale. Oopsie. And actually pastel colours rather than pastel pencils, but pastel shades. So they're all the pale terracottas, the pale pinks, the corals, pale lemons, very soft pale colours. They seem to lend themselves quite well to this particular type of book. And some quite nice bluey colours, and the burnt carmine's quite a nice colour. This is a nice colour. So sometimes I put colour in the middle and darken that. If you've got it like in a circular motion, you get the kind of desired effect. And then you can just darken the sides up. And you want the slightest touch, because these pastel pencils are, mine are a little bit softer than the newer ones, but even so, with the newer ones you still don't want too much pressure, because you'll just end up with lots and lots of dust particles which will get thrown away. So you want to work with a minimum of colour. You can always put a bit more on. We just need to kind of squidge up, and that's made a really nice highlight on that one, if you can see that. And that looks like swirls of wood. So this is going to get quite sharp now. So just got to be a bit careful. I could possibly sharpen these just to give that a little bit kind of woodier effect. So what we do with that, Make sure our thing's clean. It does look all the same colour though, but it isn't. You can just make the initial kind of rub and then just rub once. And so you've got some kind of just a lightest touch that there is something a little bit lighter and paler at that side. Have some pinky curtains, pale curtains. It's just enough to do that, and then that's going to bring that down to being dark. Little tiny blender for this. This might be a nice good page to do the blending with a pen, with a wet damp brush. That might have been quite nice as well. And again, I'm just going to kind of give those some kind of indication of colour, but not not to the extent that we know that they're bright pink or something. Might make that one a little blue one to just offset. Just let me see if I can have a bit of a play. This silly colour is driving me insane. Yeah, the colours are better. The colours are better. It's just, I look like I've been in the suntan. So if I slide that across here, you can see those lovely, subtle colours. So the centre's quite a pale. So we have to remember to brighten that back up at the other side. So we've had that blue. So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps. Just going to take that down there. And it says, I've stopped blowing because it makes me cough a bit. And I'm trying to rub all this colour away, so I just manoeuvre it around a little bit. Excuse me. I don't know if maybe that would work slightly better. Apologies. When the light goes here, it goes quite dark. I think that's a shell. So that could be. Might do that bit of a green eye. Sorry about that. Started to cough. And again, the little tiny. Oh dear. don't belong to the same person. Oh dear, excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, dear whiz. I have actually created quite a lot of dust in this room because I've cleared the desk and cleaned lots of things out. So I'm working in this section here. Some really nice olives and green colours in here, but that's a green and that's a green. So I'll hang fire with that green. A nice dull. There's an orange earth there, which is it's almost like a peach. Might not work, won't work on a darker one. Some of these are drawn quite dark. Oh, the colour seems to have disappeared, changed again. It's supposed to be a green, but never mind. So we need a red pillar box. So I don't know how many reds in this one as I've used it. If you can see, there's a big gap there, and that's because I haven't really. Oh, that's pillar box red. I haven't really found the reds, so it's too pink. I think it'll have to be that red one. And so of course there's a pair of peeping eyes out there as well. Has to be a pair of peeping eyes. So I'm hoping to get some more of these, because if I get the full set, then I will have I will have the vivid reds, because I'm just a bit low on reds, because on bright reds, because I'd had the portrait set, and then I got a set of 36. Sorry, I got a set of 72. but a lot of the vibrant reds weren't in there, so. Again, I'm not sure these are going to show up on here, but it seems to be a lot darker, a lot more shaded areas than further along here. And he's a bit of a strange, and becomes a wooden creature carved out of wood. Then we have two. That's too dark, that one. No, it might be okay. It's a bit of a peachy pink, but it should be fine. So I'll just do another half an hour and then I'll go see hubby because my daughter's away tonight, so we can watch what we want on TV for a change. No, I don't mind Samantha. She's very good. She's very good, and I keep saying to her, it must be so boring living with old cronies. I said it must be extremely boring living with two old gits. I mean, hubby's 65, so he's. But bless him. And I didn't get to the art shops today. I was a bit cross today with him. It's like. So. Sometimes it's a bit difficult. Now, this is quite a dark one, but I quite fancy a dark one down there. This is my fave colour of the indigos. So it makes a really nice darkish shadow and makes a nice. I use this one for the Harry Potter sky. If you're doing a moonlight sky and you want it a little bit dark and grim, it's worked out quite well. You might as well have a little bit of a purpley mug in there. So I don't tend to blow. I tend to just use the colours I've got. Excuse me. I like that orangey bright colour that I had, so I think we're going to have a bit of a bright van. And then we need a bit of a foxy colour there, so I think there's terracotta somewhere. Terracotta would be quite good for our fox. And I'm hoping to get another set of these. So I'll have the ones that are missing and then I'll have some extra ones. So what I'll probably do is have a couple of blunt ones. And I'll have a couple of there'll be a couple that were blunt. I think that was a nice olive colour. Oh no, I might as well do a greeny colour for an actual tree. Something we can't. Hooker's green, bold. But it will be toned down because I will be using it very strong. and there's a little bit of orange in there from the vans, so that actually sits quite nicely. Excuse me. Oh, that's our little man in his hammock. I think he's on the first page, the little man in the hammock. Let's have a look. Yes, he's. Oh no, it's a different man. It's a different man in his hammock. In his hammock. His hammock. In his hammock. Sorry, whoopsie. There's 4 books to do there, so we need a blue. So I might actually go for this indigo. Oh no, there's a bit of a Prussian-y blue. But again, just in case I don't want to make a big boo-boo, I just put and I've only put half the amount of colour that I need on there, because I can smush it through. And then there's a few snails, so again we could have some bright orange earth snails to brighten the horizon up. There's 3 snails there. And then we've got a love heart, so we obviously have to have that. The love heart can be pinky red, I think, rather than a reddy red. So when I work with the other pencils, I will shout out the names, but because these aren't, because we don't actually have these colours and you can't get them anymore, there wouldn't be much reason for me to do that. So that's why I'm not shouting these colours out. But when I use the new set that you can buy now, I'll shout the colours out. And I'm going to be using them in this book quite a lot. So we need, we've got a red and a blue. I quite like the geranium, but I think it's not particularly bright. Could use that on this one. And as I left a lot of room to push colour. So I haven't wasted any. And then just a hint of that colour. So there's no dust or bits left on there now. It's all been used. I've got 2 to go for that little section, and I think we'll have a pale one. Rub that one in there. I think we could possibly have a bluey green. We've got a nice bluey green colour. It's a bit warmer, that looks quite nice there. So what I did with these particular pencils is I went through every single one, and it took me quite a long time. I'll just do this section and then you can have a look. Excuse me. So I'm going to pan out and I'll show you this. And it's a little bit different because I don't know why my camera won't go up anymore. It's a little bit different because I did this when I had one set and then I've added to it, but I'm going to try to get these colours back out. And I should actually know what they are because these are the longer coloured handled ones. So it took me a long time, but I went through them. Oh, it's flashing out now. And I took each blue and put them in colour order. So they're not in numerical order, they're in colour order. So I have my purples going to lights, I then have my pale blues, then I have my tealy blues, and then I've got my darker blues. On this side I've got my pale pinks to pink, and here I'll have the reds. On this side I've got dark chocolate browns to paler browns to fawns, all warm terracotta colours, warm brown umbers and brown greys, warmer fawns colours. And then on this side I've got the yellows, palest yellow to darkest yellow, palest orange to darkest oranges and terracottas. And then at this side I've got the very pale grey, the greeny blues, the greens to dark green, then the light olives to dark olives. And lastly I've got the whites and blacks and cold greys and cold olive greys. So they're all cold greys at that side. So I've got two sections with fawns, some are cold and some are warm. And I found that would be an easier way to do it. I say there is a gap for pinks and reds though. But I wanted to kind of get on with this book and kind of finish it a little bit because it seems to be a bit neglected now. So if anybody's got any questions, I know chat's been a bit off. Just double see everybody's in the same chat room. Hopefully we've only got one opened. Keep our fingers crossed. It could be. I can't get rid of that one. It won't let me get rid of it. So that one. That says it's main chat, but when you look at main chat, aha, I'll do it. Oh, I'm going to cut everybody out. Sorry about this. Is that any better? Ustream seems to be having a bit of a problem, and I'm having problems. There's some quite nice colours going on there as well. So I quite like these colours. Do the palest one first. See if you could kind of you kind of get a bookendish kind of warming that colour up there. Quite like that. Might do that with that one. Actually, that terracotta was quite nice. Just put a little bit in there and it's going to give a very nice warm space. So thanks for joining me on this Saturday. Bit of an impromptu. I'm I'm going to do with that, I might just take off that stark white, but I don't know what to do with it. Might end up putting a highlight on it, I think. I'll end up putting a highlight on that. The light is really rubbish today, considering of how many lamps I've got on. It's not very good, so apologies for that. But I've done quite a bit. I've done that section, so I'm quite pleased with that. It wants to be finished, though. I have to say, it does need to be finished now. It does need to be finished. And again, we've got quite a lot of lemony going on up there. Keep them separate from. Oh, hi Demonty, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm just having a bit of a play in my Colin Thompson book. I like some of these pages as well, but I like these very, very pale. The pale colours, so I think we could possibly have a bit of light colour on that one. All those side books can have a bit of paleness. I'll clean the blender this time because I don't want any dirtiness on it really. And again, I've sort of stopped blowing because I want to keep all that dust on the page. I might take that highlight out actually, I think, in a bit. So I've had a bit of a play with the pastels, and I can't seem to get into the pantry at the moment where my pastel pads are, so I was hoping to go buy some more tools tomorrow, but never mind. Today rather. And again, just a little bit of chocolate on there. Just to kind of warm that up a bit. And I say, these are, you can tell the difference, these are very soft. These are very, very soft and crumbly pencils. Just bear with me a second. Do excuse me, I say hubby and I have been swapping cold. Yeah, it's a Colin Thompson one. So the first one I did in the watercolours, Derwent watercolours, and then I've played with this one. And I think I've got one other finished. Oh, the light's flashing out because it's quite dark here, so I've got some bright lights and it doesn't like it. Again, I like this pale colour for the books. I think they look quite good pale. And I collect all that dust because it's all colour, smush it round. I'm using the Flash P150 from the new set of pencils because I love that colour just for all the flesh faces, just to give, and all these little creatures, because it just gives them an off-white colour, so it takes that stark white off. And then I quite like this very kind of pale, warm cream tone. Takes off that stark white, and sometimes they are a bit old and kind of browned at the edges, so again I quite like that. And we've got a little house going on there, so we've got that terracotta. I'm going to have to put that red one in with another one because it keeps falling out and it's driving me potty. I'll put it down there. But I separated the pinks into reddy pinks and reddy pinks and orangey reds and pinky reds, so they had different sections. So I've completely ruined this numerical order for this one. But the other ones, the other Derwent pastels, the older ones, the newer ones, they seem to be in not only numerical order but also colour order as well. So you've got that lovely natural pastel palette as you're going through, whereas these were chopping and changing. And because you had 3 different variations of the same name, we went from pale, medium to dark, pale, medium to dark, pale, medium to dark all the time. Well, I've changed all that and I've got all mine now in a colour wheel. So I can look at Orange Earth and think Spectral Orange is a bit pinkier, and Terracotta is a little bit redder, but they're both a bit kind of earthy, warmy colours. And I just feel a lot healthier, a lot, because you spend a lot of time looking for colours. I mean, there must be at least 6 pale blues there. So I've now got them in order of where I want them. Yes, Diamante, it's a wonderful little book, is this one. But I have kept the chocolate because I like the chocolate colour for the woodwork. So I'm going to do that little cottage next. So I wanted a terracotta. Do I want a terracotta house? And again, but the beauty of it is if you do make a big boo-boo, you can actually... it's a little bit... It's a bit dark, but it's okay, because once I've kind of blended it, it's going to disappear. So that's... yeah, I can live with that. That's just okay. It's just a dark terracotta tile roof. And then we obviously want a soft, warm brick, which is like a burnt sienna. Just a warmy brick. So that's going to make that quite nice now as well. So thanks for stopping by, guys. A bit of a green top for that greenhouse. Make it a proper greenhouse. Give it a bit of colour. There seems to be quite a lot of greenery in this one. So, yeah. So I'm going to finish here. I'll just show you what it looks like, and then I might try and get on tomorrow to stream if nobody else is streaming for a little bit, to make a few videos to catch up because I'm a bit behind. And my light's really bad tonight, so that's what we were doing. So I did this months and months ago. Oh, I think it was a few months ago. So I seem to have done half a page. If we took that off there and put it down here, we would have a page done. So it's not too bad. The one thing to remember though is to put the greaseproof paper, tracing paper, or deli paper in between, because that isn't set. And now I've got pastel on both sides. They will contaminate each other a little bit, just to make sure. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I'm going to have to go sort tea out for hubby. But thanks for so that's for stopping by. And as I say, these are my pencils that I've kind of put in order, and I'm very tempted to mix them all up. I think to mix all the oranges up with all the reds and put them in order that they appear. So you've got the really pale colours and going down to the darker colours. I'm quite tempted to mix them up, because although these are a little bit softer than these, it's still a pastel and I still work the same way with them, so I'm a bit tempted to mix them, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But at the moment I use those on something different, and I use these because they're just that little bit softer, and they have the beautiful pale tones to them as well, whereas the other ones are a little bit more vibrant. So thanks for watching. That's probably the end of part 2 of the Colin Thompson colour book. Part 2 of the colour page, the bookshelves. Thanks for watching. So thanks guys for stopping by. Hope everybody's well. Just so frustrated I've spent 6 or 7 hours messing about with YouTube.